Okay, excuse me. 24 Iyar, Hayom Yom, the words for the day. The beginning of this starts about saying the Tillim, because that year, Rosh Chodesh, the 24th year, was the Shabbos Mavorchim. But it isn't this year, so we'll skip that piece and go right to the Hayrah in Avodah, the teaching in service of Hashem. So it goes like this. This is apparent last week's parsha. If you go, that's how the literal translation, if you go in my statutes. But our sages interpret the word, and so does the Alter Rebbe, by the way, in a mimer in Likutei Torah on this parsha. It's not if, but it's a plea. If only, I wish that you would go in my statutes. If only you would go in my statutes. So this is Hashem's pleading, as it were, with us, with Israel, to keep the Torah. In itself, and doing that, keeping the Torah, it aids man and gives him the ability to remain steadfast in his choice of the good. Moreover, if going in my statutes, the soul becomes mahal. So we're literal translation. If you will go in my statutes, right? But I'm pleading with you to become a mahal. I want you to go. I want you to progress. I want you to move. I want you to take me into the world, as we were speaking earlier. I want you to make a dwelling place for me. You have to. I need you on your hands and feet, well, particularly your feet, walking the walk, in addition to talking the talk. That's Hashem is pleading with us for. So then he says, with the advent of Mashiach, there will be revealed the superior quality of the traits of simplicity and wholeheartedness. Remember, the Umbichul Kaisai, the Hukim, are those mitzvahs which have no apparent reason, right? That's called simplicity. They're pashut. We can't look into them. We can't investigate the rationale for them. And so this models what Hashem wants from us. He wants to be simple, uncomplicated in our relationship with him. Just a simple bonding with his ultimate simplicity, which is expressed by the Hukim. So the trace of simplicity and wholeheartedness found in the avodah of simple folk, this is where we started, in the future there will be revealed the superior quality of the simplicity and wholeheartedness found in the avodah of simple folk, who daven and recite Tillim with simple sincerity. And that's, I don't know, not a bad starting point. Just do it. Just do it. Just get connected with it. And we will with Lessons in Tanya, page 772. And Likutei Morim Tanya, page 142. Yeah. Okay. In fact, this is what we've been speaking about. I mean, we started speaking about the Ava Berish Kerish Be'esh, the flaming love of fire, right? And we said, great. And it is great to have a flaming, fiery love to be connected with Hashem. But what's the purpose of it? The purpose is to do what your beloved wants you to do, to engage with your beloved and do the will of your beloved. And so what is our beloved, what does Hashem want us to do? He wants us to take our fiery, our brand, as we say in Yiddish, our burn for him, and bring it down and out into the world. As we quoted the Zohar's Sefer Yetzirah from Avraham Avinu says, Im rotz libach, if your heart runs out, shuv le'echad, come back to the one. And a little drush that's brought in Hasidus about one, it doesn't say return to the singular, it says return to the one. One is Aleph Echad, and we learn this in Maimorim on Shema Yisrael Hashem Echad. It doesn't say Shema Yisrael Hashem Yochid. It doesn't say, Hear, O Israel, God is unique, singular. It says God is one. And we darshan, Hasidus darshans the word Echad. Aleph, he's the one, in the singular, who is, Aleph is also the word Aluf. He is the master of everything. And what is everything? The Ches is 8, which is 7 heavens and the earth, and the 4 directions. And the Ches is the 7 heavens and the earth. Dalet is the 4 directions. The idea is to bring Hashem, take all of our burning love for him and bring that out down here below into the world. And how do we do that? By fulfilling the mitzvahs, which were given not to angels, but to us down here below. So now we'll start. V'hine, al hamshach is called Tanya Agmine Koichas. Now, we're exercising here a model. Although God, yes, is singular, there is nothing besides him. He expresses himself. From that singularity emerges multiple 613 paths. And we've been exploring the analogy between that and ourselves. We have a soul, which is a singularity. If you looked into the soul under the microscope, if you could, you would not see 613 particles or 613 facets. You'd see one singular thing. Yet the soul branches out into the body, and we'll describe how that works today more than we did yesterday. And each of the branches have a particular power that is designed for to have a particular affinity to a particular part of the body. So the hamshachas of the 613 types of powers that come from the soul, and the chayas and the life force that comes from this singular entity, which we're calling, which is the godly soul. We expressed yesterday, this is a function of what we call Gilui HaHelam, revelation of something which is concealed. The multiplicity, as it is in its source, there is no multiplicity, but the possibility for multiplicity is there in the singularity. And when that multiplicity is revealed, so we call this process Gilui HaHelam. We have this same idea in worlds. Worlds emerge at root in a revelation of something which is concealed. Their multiplicity exists in a pre-existent state in godliness, and then it comes out as an expression. It's revealed in an existent state, which is the multiplicity of all of creation. So the soul in the body models God and his relationship with all of creation. And the soul exhibits, when it comes out of its singularity and its simplicity, 613 powers and life forces from concealment, from the Nahelam HaNeshama, from the concealment as it is in the source in the Neshama, El HaGuf, into the body, L'Hachiyose, to enliven. And Oloya Amru, on that it is spoken, it is said, and on this it says, this revelation of the multiplicity that's latent in or hidden in the simplicity of the soul, it says, the root drawing down and resting place of this drawing of this hamshacha, this drawing out from the singularity into multiplicity, and the root of this revelation, is all in the brain, in the head. So the soul power achieves a unity, bridges the gap between spiritual and physical, that would be a better way of saying it, where in the instance of instantiation of the soul, of the instantiation of the spiritual in the physicality of the brain. And therefore, the brains, Chochmah, Bina, and Das, they are the first to receive the power and the life force, which is appropriate to them, the fi muzgam, the tachanusam, according to their structure, their constitution, shehein Chabad, as we said, Chabad, Chochmah, Bina, Das. Each part of the brain gets a different kind of infusion from the simplicity of the soul. And then it goes from Chabad. So if you go from soul to Chabad, a soul power, right, from soul to soul power, simple soul to soul power, Chochmah, Bina, Das, and the place where that is manifest is in the physicality of the brain, and those aspects of Chochmah, Bina, and Das are revealed in a brain function called thought, or consciousness. Who uses the word thought? and everything which is relevant to the brain. Right? Plain and simple. And not only this, also all the generality of all the drawings out of energetic from the soul into the physicality of the entirety of all the other limbs, are all included in and included in the brain, shabaresh, in the head. And there is in the brain is the root and the source of all these hamshachas, these drawings down, as they come into revelation of the light. Light meaning is a metaphor for spiritual energy. And the life force shall call haneshama kula of the entire soul. And from there, this life force, in its very detailed way now, for each ray, so to speak, of the light of the soul, passing through, being guided by the central intelligence agency of the human, which is the brain, and then from there, dispatched through the neural system, to the neural network, through all and every singular detail of the physicality of all limbs. And each and every one of the limbs and organs receives the highest, the life force, which is fit to it, according to its constitution and structure. The koyach, the power of seeing, misgala ba'ayin, in the ayin, b'koyach hashmiya ba'oizen, and the power of hearing in the ear. And I just wanted a little editorializing here. This is long before Freud. Why I picked Freud? Because he's generally landmarked as the beginning of psychology, the beginning of the understanding of the relationship of the mind to the body, mind-body. But here we have it, and this, of course, the Alter Rebbe is a long down the chain in where this had already been established way back when by the Kabbalists. So the notion of mind-body relationship and mental health being the root of physical health, except of course when there are limbs which are damaged physically. But if the limbs are not damaged physically, mental health being the source of physical health is rooted right here, is exhibited right here, at least on this particular page. The effect of soul in brain and brain on everything that goes into the body. So it's just an observation that I find interesting, that this is not that we are so involved today in realizing and accounting for and learning about the relationship of layers of consciousness to mental and physical health is not a surprise, because it's rooted here in Tanya, which of course is rooted in Kabbalah and in Torah. End of editorializing. And all the powers which spread out from the brain, as is known, he reminds us that the brain is the root dwelling place of the entire godly soul. From there, it comes out the radiation, the illumination, the spiritual, energetic, which enlivens everything, which we call the revelation of the soul in the body. Which is revealed there, starting in the brain. That's the all in the brain is all the generality of all the life force, which will be detailed and flow from there into all the body parts. It's only from there, from the brain, and the soul finding, what's the word he uses? It's hashra, its resting place. Now this hashra is an interesting word, because it's the same word that's used about the Shekhinah, the divine presence, hashras hashekhinah, the dwelling place, the place of contact between God himself and all the worlds, and from which all the worlds devolve and are born, are birthed from, is called Malchus of Atzilus, and that's called Hashras HaShekhinah, the dwelling place of the Shekhinah. So although he's not going back to the analog here, let's for a second just go back. We're discussing here really how it is that the body, from Iyar, Job says, from my flesh I can see, from my flesh I can see godliness. By understanding the model of how we're built, we are understanding how Hashem has built or expresses himself. And from himself also, from that singular point of Yichud, branches out all the life force which enlivens, which brings into being and enlivens all the worlds. Just like from the soul and its connection with the brain, there beams out and is manifest all the powers that radiate throughout the body. Kol klalas chayis, all the generality of the life force, they shine out and they spread out from there, from the soul invested in the brain. L'kol evre haguf, to all the limbs of the body. Kidimin ha'om nispashit u'meir min hashemesh, and he gives an example, like similar to the way that the light of the sun spreads out from the singular source, which is the sun, u'meir hashemesh, and it shines from the sun, l'hadir hadorim, to all hadir hadorim, all the rooms, all the places in our physical universe. And therefore, now this line is extremely important, isn't it? Yafilu, and therefore, since everything is owed to the energetic of chayis, of divine vitality, which comes from the soul to the brain, that everything, of course, includes the heart. Yafilu halev mikabel mehamoyach, and therefore, this heart receives from the brain, and lochein, and therefore, this is back to the fundamental principle of the Tanya, hamoyach shalat olev. The moyach, the brain, can rule over their heart. Right? Since the heart is literally being enlivened by the brain, and the heart, of course, is the source of, that's where the animal soul resides, and the source of all the blood and the life force is carried in the blood. So the brain, this is not just a metaphor, it's an actual fact. Soul, godly soul, attaches to brain, brain attaches to heart, heart pumps the blood, and now the blood and all of your energy is full of divinity, because the natural state is that the brain can rule over the heart. And that's the whole subject, right? Moyach shalat al alev is the singular foundational principle of the whole Tanya. And that's today's Tanya. Any questions first? All right, so we're good. We got that. We're understanding it, and how are we going to live with it? Don't all talk at once. Any thoughts? Any takeaways? You're going to leave it up to me? Not fair. Not fair. All right, well, I guess I'll have to go, but I like to tie them into the sphera. So I have to look at my chart here that I gave you. Okay, Netzach Sheba Yesod. One of the words, meanings of Netzach is trust. Firm, betach, betachin, trust. Netzach, strong, powerful. And one of the words of Yesod is to connect. All right, so I have many opportunities to connect today. You know, I work for a living. That's one thing. And I have a family. And I have friends, believe it or not, that I see during the day. I'm going to trust my ability, number one, to make connections that are positive, and when I say positive, that are godly, that bring the message that we have in Tanya to the ground. That's another word for Yesod, grounded. And I'm going to have confidence in something else that I need to have confidence about or trust in, that I have a lot of issues at work, and some in my personal life as well, that where I need to be confident that the decisions I'm making are the decisions that God is putting into my brain. And I'm going to have confidence and trust that I can create solutions which are aligned with what Hashem wants. And whether I understand them in seichel or not, betach, I'm going to trust them. That's me. Amen. Anybody else want to offer anything? Go ahead.
I'm going to take yours. That's me too.
Okay. Anybody else? All right then. Be a mahala, right? Go with simple observance and simple connectedness, like a baby, right? Like a baby to a parent, before we got really complicated with consciousness, and walk with Hashem. See you tomorrow, Mir Hashem.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.